Hey guys, this is Laura from the Sketching Pad, and I'm going to show you a common pottery painting technique that we use often here at the studio. This is called blending. So what blending means is you're transitioning from one color to the next smoothly, kind of like a gradient. And this technique works well for both acrylic and the glazed kits that you got from us. So the only difference is that with the glaze, it's kind of muted colors, so you won't necessarily see exactly what the end result is going to look like while you're painting it. The other difference is that with glaze, you need to have 3 coats of your gradient. So you would have to start, I'm going to show you one. This is our, this one was done with a glaze. So it started off with purple and worked its way down into red. So there are 3 coats of this gradient. So while our instructor was working on this, they made sure to kind of pile on the glaze and work and nicely blend from one to the next. The key to having a good blend is to work in rainbow order. So that would be red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So the colors that are next to each other blend well together. So red blends well with orange, orange blends well with yellow, yellow blends well with green, green with blue, blue with purple, and then it wraps around here at the end back to red. So purple and red also blend well together, even though they're kind of far apart. It just wraps around at that point. And purple obviously also blends well with pink, because pink is kind of in the red family, so those blend well too. I'm going to show you another one here. This was also using the glaze. This is an ornament from our inventory here at the studio. So it goes from yellow to orange. Now yellow and orange are close to each other in your palette, so that's why those blend well without making any weird shades of brown. So like if you were to mix the yellow with the purple, you would end up with a brown shade. So we want to avoid that as best as we can. Like I said, this works really well for both acrylic and glaze. Another key to making sure that they blend well together is you have to have a wet edge to do it. So while you're applying the red, then you would want to go quickly to your orange so that way it doesn't dry in between. Before I show you how to do this, I'm going to give you a couple of pointers of things that you should have on hand from your house. You probably want to have a cup of water to rinse your brush out in. This is just like an old sauce, pasta sauce jar, but you could use a mason jar. You could use a Dixie cup or a solo cup or something like that. You'll obviously want to have your brushes from your kit and the rainbow palette. I'm going to be demonstrating in acrylic, but like I said, follow along with the glaze if you have it. You're going to want a rag from your house or a paper towel, something that you don't mind getting stained, especially if you have the acrylic kit. Acrylic does stain. It does not come out of your clothes, but or out of your cloth, and but the glaze does. So glaze is highly washable. It just has to be fired for you to be able to see the end result. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You want to use your flat brush for this just because it holds more paint and makes it easier to blend from one to the next. You can use this one, just know that it's going to be a little bit harder to keep that wet edge of your paint for blending. I'm going to do in this cross kind of a sunset. So I'm going to be going basically from red to orange to yellow. Some sunsets have a little bit of purple on the end, but I'm just going to stick with the warm palette here. And I am going to start with the red and work to the orange to the yellow. So if you dip your paintbrush in the red, and if you go outside your lines, don't worry about it. We've got to do this whole background there, and acrylic is very forgiving. You can cover any mistakes that you have. So I'm kind of going left to right, and I'm making sure to have a lot of paint on the tile. The tile absorbs the acrylic pretty quickly, so you want to work relatively fast. All right, so I'm going to go about this high with the red. And then I'm just going to dip straight into my orange. And I'm going to back blend over that edge of the red with the orange. So you see I'm going back into it. I don't know if you can like see the full color of that orange or not from the camera, but you're back blending into it. And you can see I'm kind of going outside the lines on the edge there. So once you have that back blend, then you're just going to add your orange a little ways up. Making sure to keep that wet edge. All right, so now I'm getting to the cross beam, and I'm gonna just add that orange across. Make sure you have enough paint. Always dip back in there if it's starting to get dry. All right, so now that I've got that, then I'm going to dip straight into my yellow, and I'm going to back blend into my orange with my yellow, just like I did with the orange into the red. So back blending, keep dipping it in to keep it wet. And then just keep adding the yellow. So it's making like a nice yellow orange. All right, and then I'm going to rinse my brush because I want to have a little bit more, a little brighter yellow as I go up into it. And if I have too much orange on my brush, then it won't brighten up. So now I'm going to back blend just a little bit right in there. And I'm going to keep applying the yellow until I reach the top. All right. So once you have that, if you feel like you want a little bit more yellow or orange anywhere, like I think I want a little bit more yellow like right in here, just go back in and add a little bit more where you think it needs it, so long as it's still a little wet. You don't want to do it if it's dry, so make sure you check that. So now I've got a very nice gradient sunset colored from red all the way to yellow. Like I said, I kind of went over my edges a little bit in the corners right in here and right over here. And don't worry about that because we're going to do all of the stuff in the background, or you guys would do all the stuff in the background for that. And you can do this, like I said, in any color scheme that you want, so long as those colors are in rainbow order. You can also, if you wanted to add a little touch to this, you can add just a tiny bit, don't have much on your brush, a little bit of white, and you can brighten up the yellow right at the top if you decide you want to do that. So I'm kind of back blending that white into here, and that just makes it a little bit lighter. That's all. You could do a teeny bit of that like right in here too if you wanted. And acrylic paint is really forgiving, guys. So if you do your gradient and you don't like what you have, don't sweat it. Just paint over it and start again. You can either paint over it with white if you don't like the colors and start completely from scratch, or you can just repeat this gradient again. If you are using the glaze, you just wash it off, or use a sponge. You can just wash it off if you don't like it. And don't forget that with glaze, you want to do 3 repeats of this. So you want to do red to yellow once, let it dry, red to yellow twice, let it dry, red to yellow a 3rd time, and let it dry, and that will do just fine for you. All right, guys, well, you have made it to the end. If you have any questions, maybe I didn't cover something in this tutorial that you want to ask about, please reach out to us over Facebook. And if you want to show us what you've done, we would absolutely love to stay in contact with you. So post it online, tag us in it, send us a private message. We'd love to see what you guys have been doing and to encourage you in any way that we can. I hope you guys had fun, and we'll see you soon.